I was watching both shows actually, and I included you in the news and everything, but because there were so many people in New Orleans family business, like I just didn't remember compared to
Yeah.
like I knew you were going to be on the Rookie. So when I watched it, I was like, I did a more of a deep dive on you, and I
Yeah.
didn't realize like you've been like working for over 10 years.
Over 10 years. It's been a long journey, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So how have you changed since you first started into now?
Mhm. It's man, I took the long route. I went to drama school at the University of New Orleans, and after I graduated, I went to Negro Ensemble Company. Then I did a stint at William Esper Studios. So I definitely went the academic route, which I think is the best route because it gave me a love for the art of acting, and it gave me this foundation of I feel like I deserve everything I'm getting now, if that makes sense, because my hard work, the amount of hard work I put in, is just unfathomable. You know what I mean? Especially like the younger generations that everybody wants instant gratification. I didn't get that. I put in the groundwork, and I think I've changed as far as my maturity level, as far as when I started in theater and then graduated to TV and film. I was kind of naive of the whole TV and film industry because I was so prominent in theater, and it's crazy to me how even now how much that transition has changed myself, my craft, and the business itself. How it has changed during this over a decade I've been pursuing and doing acting.
So when you say you were naive, what's the difference? What's your biggest difference do you say between theater versus TV and film?
Well, I think it's a big difference. In theater, you're present all the time. There's no action stop. Let me do my makeup. Let me change the lighting. There's no single. It's a lot, and I think TV is more detailed to um, it's detailed to the audience, but also to the actor. But theater is more detailed in a way that it's just the audience itself, and the ensemble is there, and we have to be present, and we have to also give our A game in order to make the show stand out. If that makes any sense. So the big difference for me towards, I mean, the difference between TV and film is it's totally different in a way that you just have to be present in theater,
Yeah.
and you just let everything go. Opposed to TV and film, you can just I need another take. The director give you notes. Let me the lighting's not right with the cinematographer. It was like, oh, I need to switch a light. I need to do this, and this. But in theater, you almost have to be perfect. But you also have to be able to love your imperfections because that makes you who you are as an actor. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of the theater. Like
Mhm.
I love it tremendously. So, have you done a lot of Broadway, off Broadway projects?
I didn't do any. I wish I would have. That was my thing to go to New York and do Broadway, but I just started working in TV and film more. And my
Okay.
agent, my agent was like, you know what? Let's try to get you. Let's try to get this 22, 23-year-old kid in TV and film because we want to utilize your youth. And
Okay.
but I've done a lot of theater, specifically in New Orleans, in LA, and I studied a lot of theater in New York. But
Yeah, so that's why I was like, have you gone to the stage yet, or
mhm.
that is a goal of yours still?
That is a goal of mine still. Yeah, is to do a Broadway show, most definitely.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Broadway. So, interestingly enough, because you're from New Orleans.
Born and raised, baby, you heard me?
Yes. You're from New
Yeah,
Orleans and now you're starring on this show.
yeah.
Um, did you tap into like your roots? Because although you're from New Orleans, when's the last time you've been back?
Well,
Like,
I try to go back every 3 months because my grandmother, she's getting me
well,
up
I
there
mean, like for a long period of time.
on period
Like,
of time. Oh,
yeah,
it's been a minute.
yeah.
It's been a
So,
minute. Yeah,
so
it's
like,
been a long time. Yeah.
so when it came to the family business New Orleans, number one, when you heard about it, were you like, oh, I definitely have to be a part of it because it's New Orleans, like the roots.
Sure.
And how did you tap into to be an authentic? Although I feel like your character is not from New Orleans in the show.
My character's from New Orleans.
Doesn't
I
he say something like LA or no?
I don't think so.
No.
I think yeah. My character's from New Orleans. If not, I made him from New Orleans.
No,
You
no.
ain't gonna cast me. You ain't gonna cast me in the New Orleans project. I haven't played New Orleans man. You know what I mean? But every project that comes on my radar that's based in New Orleans, I always try to get my agents and managers to submit me as much as possible. And I think I'm not taking a shot at New Orleans casting directors, but casting directors need to do a better job at pushing New Orleans talent to get lead roles. Because New Orleans itself is a lot of actors when they try to they imitate a New Orleans accent. It never sounds authentic. You know what I'm saying? Before I left New Orleans, I had a very strong New Orleans accent. When I got to New York, I had to take dialect classes to lose it. But it's not country. It's not this broken down Louisiana accent. We don't talk like that. In New Orleans, it's like, whoa, what's jam with your baby? You know, I'm about to come over here. You heard me? The people over there. It's a certain vernacular that people who not from the city, they're not gonna get it right. I don't care how long you try to study it. It's just we pick up on certain words and dialects that if you're not really from the city, it ain't gonna make sense. You heard me? And for this project, I was the only actor from New Orleans. And honestly, that kind of hurt my spirit because I wanted my city to get more representation in that. And I'm not knocking the family business. I love that show. I was a part of the cast. The ensemble was phenomenal, beautiful, and they're very, very professional. And they're also everyone's very talented. But I wish we would have got more New Orleans locals to play authentic characters on that show, just to show how much we are talented. Because we do have a group of talented actors in New Orleans that don't get to shine enough. You know what I mean?
No, listen, I'm gonna. So I'm not from New Orleans, but my brother went to Xavier, and I had friends that are from New Orleans. That accent is one of my favorite, but it is so like particular. Like you have to be from New Orleans. So that was one of the main things that I don't know how I felt about it. I was happy they didn't have accents. Like everybody was kind of talking normal, but then I was like, well, if it's based in New Orleans, excuse me, if it's based in New Orleans, I felt like I should have heard more
Yeah, for sure. I
accent.
was teaching him. No, I was teaching Quincy, my dog, man. Me and Quincy met when I was in New York years ago, and we just stayed friends. You know what I mean? And I was teaching Quincy like, yo, you gotta put some vernacular, some New Orleans swag in there. So I got him saying like, wooty woo, you heard me, baby, all that. You know what I mean? And I try to teach him as much as I can. So I want I wanted more of that as well. But it's all good because the show it turned out great. You know what I mean? And I'm a part of that
It's a
greatness.
pretty good show. Hopefully, if it gets picked up for a second season, like that's something they'll take into consideration. Because I definitely think solid feedback is good, and I definitely think authenticity is something that a lot of shows, especially when they're set at a place where people have accents or there's just certain things that are true to these places and they lack it. Local people are like, yeah, it's a no for me.
Especially like places like New Orleans, which is very very much it's a different city than any other city in the states. You know?
It definitely is. It's I always say it's like it's literally like its own world. Like New
Yeah.
Orleans itself.
We don't claim Louisiana. We claim New Orleans. You heard me?
To be honest, I don't even think I think about all of Louisiana. I think of New Orleans because I visited so much.
Hmm. Yeah.
But so interesting, you're on the family business and you're playing a criminal. And then
For sure.
on the rookie, you're playing law enforcement.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which character do you relate to more?
Man, I can't really subject myself to an answer to that because I really relate to both of them, honestly. This character, basically, I'm from New Orleans, so I relate to Jace. I relate to his ambition and his struggle and his adversity and his hunger to want more in life, and he's using his environment and his resources to achieve that. You know what I'm saying? But Miles Penn, it's so crazy how myself and this character has so much in common, and it really when God has something for you, nobody can take it away. Because this man is from the South. I'm from the South. He tore his ACL in college playing football. I tore my ACL at the University of New Orleans playing football while I was in while I was studying theater, and he wanted to pursue this higher goal, this higher calling in his life. So he moves from his hometown, his home state of Texas. And I did the same thing. I wanted to be a working actor. I wanted to be great. I wanted to be phenomenal. And I moved to New York right after college, and I pursued this thing ruthlessly. And the same thing as Miles is doing. What you see, his transition from the first episode to now, is that he put on his front. Was like, I'm big, I'm big, I'm bold. I don't need nobody help. But I was the same way. I was cocky in college, and when I got to the real world, I got knocked on my behind. You know what I mean? I think that's why it took me so long for people to start knowing my name, Deric Augustine's name, throughout the hard work I've been doing, because God had to humble me. You know what I mean? And the same thing with Miles is like, hey, bro, you come from a small town. We don't have the same crime as Texas. LA is a totally different monster. And you're going to have to open up your mind to learn and to be patient and to listen to your TO and to your other older and more accomplished officers in the LAPD. And that's what he does. He gets humbled, and then he opens his mind to learn, and he wants to grow to be the most phenomenal cop that he can be.
Listen, I like your explanation because when I first met Miles, I didn't like him. I was like, he
I don't
is
think nobody did.
yeah, but as soon as you saw his living situation, and then first off, the fact that you decided to move where Smitty was, I was just like, it was quickly showing like your character had a lot more depth, and then I felt like I didn't like you at first, to be honest. I didn't. First episode, I was like, it's a no for me. Like, he's so cocky, he's this, he's that. But quickly, they're showing the other side of you, and the other side of you has like a big heart, wants to do good. When it came to your girlfriend, you were like so heartbroken. So it's like, I appreciate the development of your character from when we first met him, even to now, even though it's been only a few episodes. So it's interesting that you broke him down that way, because like as a viewer watching him and immediately not liking his personality and like that, but then also seeing like, oh, he's actually like deeper than this. And I do think like your character is going to be one of my favorite, how they continue to develop you, because you add a little heart to the show in the sense of like the development of a rookie on that side.
Yeah, and it's not just me. We have phenomenal writers on the show, and also my acting coach, Ivana Chubbuck. Man, when I tell you, she pushed me to breach my limitations, and that's how Miles came to be. Also myself, I want to pat myself on the back a little bit, because I work my behind off, and hopefully it's showing through this show, and not only this show, but all the projects I touch and that I'm a part of.
So, although you've been in the industry 10 years, your name is still fairly new.
Yeah.
What are you hoping the next year looks like, especially with you on 2 projects? Hopefully, you'll continue to stay on there and things like that.
Yeah. Man, I'm in a constant pursuit, this perpetual pursuit of greatness. I want to be phenomenal, and wherever that leads me, I'm open to it. I didn't join this business to be famous. I never want to say I'm going to be famous and rich. My mother instilled this passion inside me. She had twin boys, and we was small. I got an identical twin brother, and we were small. She was like, "Y'all gonna make me some money." So she stuck us in modeling and acting when we were so young, and I fell in love with it, and it just manifested through this bigger need and want and dedication to be a great actor. So wherever that leads me, I'm open to be led, because I know that God has a path for me, and also that I know that I deserve everything that's coming my way in any form of greatness, wherever that leads me. But to answer your question, I love The Rookie. I want to stay on that show as long as possible. We have a beautiful ensemble. This cast is amazing. The crew is phenomenal. The writers are great. Our showrunner Alexi is fire. Everyone gets along. I wish that you could see like the love on this show. And I always say this in interviews. This is the first time in my career, without knocking other projects I've been on, this is the first time I feel like I have a family, and I'm not just a guest in somebody else's home. Does that make any sense? Yeah. So much love and so much thanks to the cast and crew for making me feel that way. So I want to be on this show as long as possible. Hopefully, I'll do more movies wherever, whatever that means. But I see my career like Will Smith. You know what I mean? That was my favorite actor growing up. I was a big Fresh Prince fan, and I've never met him before. I've worked with a lot of great actors, and I've met a lot of people. But I think Will Smith is the only one I'll be like, dude, that's Will Smith. You know what I mean? You heard me? So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, interestingly enough, since you like Will Smith, you know what he did when he was like he wanted to be a big movie star. So do you have like, well, so basically when he was like he wanted to be a big movie star all over, he basically asked, I'm not going to get it verbatim, but like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tom Cruise. And it's
Mm-hmm.
basically when it comes to the red carpet, you have to be the last one standing. Like you have to engage, and then you saw the way that he did his red carpets. I don't know if you ever looked into it, but he would have a concert, or he would perform, or he would do things where it would really make him this person that we grew to love, right? So it's like he created a formula for
For that
his career.
success.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's no one like he's an entertainer. You
yeah.
know, more than just an actor. But yeah, man, we'll see. But also, I'm a writer as well, so I want to get my projects produced, and and I have my own production company, and I'm involved with a lot of things outside of acting as well. So I got a lot on my plate, and I know that, and I have high goals and high aspirations. You know what I mean?
That's dope. Are you trying to? Are you looking at trying to get writing credits on any of the shows that you're working on currently,
No, I would love to direct. I'm
or
gonna start
directing
shadowing.
credits?
Yeah, I'm gonna start shadowing directors on the rookie. Hopefully, if we get when not if when we get renewed for season 8, I'm gonna start shadowing directors, and I thought about even taking directing classes. But the thing is, like, if I can find one that's a short window, because I learned through I learned through classroom. That's how I like to learn through classroom and things of that nature, because I want to know the basics of everything that I do. So I might enroll in a directing class soon, because I want to direct as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But no, I wrote a novel. I don't. Do you know that? Yeah. Yeah, I wrote a novel. It's called Orleans. It's about black wizards in New Orleans. It's a YA fantasy. It's over 400 pages, and I'm gonna self-publish. I'm self-published in the process of self-publishing now. I'm working on. Yeah. Oh yes. Oh, come on, baby. That's what it is. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna have an IP to shop around Hollywood, and the lead, her name is Donna Marie, which is my beautiful mother's name. Rest in peace. And she's a 15-year-old girl from New York who discovers she has these wizard powers, and she gets invited to this school in New Orleans, which is where her roots are from, and she has to learn and develop and to perfect her wizard powers in order to save the world against the elders of the wizard community who wants to use the wizards to take over the world. So it's pretty cool, and man, it's kind of crazy. I wrote a novel. You know what I mean? It took 6 years, but we here, and it's so beautiful because it shows how much um, how much intellectual and creative black people are, and we just have to come together and get these projects made because the world needs them. You know what I mean? And I was an adamant reader growing up, and my favorite genre was YA fantasy, and I always thought, why are these books I'm reading, I don't see myself in them. I don't see a black girl that I'm friends with. I don't see them in here. So it started as a creative writing piece in college, and I just expanded on it. And I remember a few years ago, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna really write this thing, and I did.
That is so dope. Yeah, it was when you said I'm an album. I'm like,
Yeah,
that took me a little aback a little. That's dope though. That. Please, please, please continue to work on that. And also, I
Yeah,
know you said it's 6 years, but it's not, about how you start, but it's definitely how you finish. So
most
that's
definitely.
dope.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know. Shoot, in this industry, I've learned that. You know what I mean?
Right. So, speaking of the projects you have and the future that you want to have in this industry, do you have any, like, outside of Will Smith, because we'll say that's the actor that you would want
Yeah.
to work with, but do you have any filmmakers that you would want to work with, or writers or anything?
Man,
If you could narrow down your list in case there's a long one.
yeah. Let's see. Uh, I got a whole printout sheet with black directors and writers I want to work with. I don't even have it on me. Oh man, God, why am I blanking? I've worked with Ava DuVernay before. I would love to work with her again. I wrote a script about the an African pharaoh called King Pianki, who was a Nubian pharaoh in 730 BC, and he rose from Upper Egypt to Lower Egypt to reclaim his lands during the third intermediate period of Egypt, and it shows us as kings and queens and shows our rich history. And I want to get that directed by, why am I blanking on his name? He just did the Emancipation with Will Smith.
Oh,
Uh, why am I blanking? See, you blanking.
was it Fuqua?
Fuqua, yeah, Antoine Fuqua, Antoine Fuqua. I would love to work with him. I mean, and there's other as a plethora of other black artists. I'm not black directors and writers I would love to work with, but wherever the journey takes me.
That's real. And you
Yeah.
seem like you have a very good, like, not just a good head on your shoulder, but you're like very clear on who
Mm.
you are. You're very clear on whatever mistakes you made. You're very clear on the journey that you're on. What advice would you give somebody that's also on this journey?
It, this industry is so hard. If you don't have thick skin, if you don't have patience and faith, you're not going to be successful. Like I said before, I took the long route because I wanted to be great, and my definition of great is when you sharpen your tool set, when you sharpen your skill, when you sharpen your talent, that leads to greatness. And I don't think there's no easy shortcut to that, and I had to learn that the hard way through my hard work and through these adversities that I went through the no's. It can all be so disheartening. There was many nights where I cried. There was many nights where I felt I wasn't worthy of success. There was many nights where I felt like I was never gonna make it. But my why kept me going, and my why is my mother. And the advice I would say is to find your why, study, train. I'm still in class. I still do theater. I even do free stage readings when I have a chance. What I do is hard. And if you take the easy route, lions like me are gonna devour you.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So do it hard, have faith, study your behind off, and don't look in your rear view. Don't look in your side mirrors about what everybody else is doing. Because I got caught in that too in my 20s. I saw people I was auditioning with. Dang, he got this. Dang, he got this. I'm not working enough. Okay, well, what else? But that fueled me to be like, well, how can I stay on this road? How can I be greater than them? You know what I mean? And now when I see people, I always do this too. I say, thank you, God. Me too. Thank you for his success or her
Mm.
success. And thank you for my future success, because that's the journey you have me on. So don't get frustrated when you see your peers, your friends, or your enemies working in a place that you want to be, because that's their path. God has another path for you. And if you recognize that, and if you're not in competing, if you're into growth and into creating, a road will open up for you. I promise you, man, like it did for me. So that's the advice I have.
I mean, listen, I'm over here taking parts of it in because I'm like, I don't have desires to be actor or
Yeah.
anything.
But you
But
have other desires, though.
yeah, and that
Yeah.
whole, like, don't look left and right, don't look next to
Mhm.
you, and the envy and all of that, because it is hard.
Yeah.
Whatever industry you're in, it's going to be hard. So that's good advice.
Yeah.
Um,
It's hard, man.
Yeah,
It's hard.
it is. And I think that's the empathy a lot of people lack is people don't empathize with other people. Like it's all hard for all of us, whatever
Mhm.
we're going through. Um, and a lot of people don't understand that. And I think the world would be just a little bit better if people did. But I do appreciate this. It's so interesting because I wanted to talk so much about like, your projects and stuff, but like you are extremely fascinating. And I
Oh, thank
appreciate
you.
you just like opening up and um,
I'm
just
trying to.
shifting this.
I'm trying more. I'm trying more because my story is unique. I lost my father when I was 3. My mom in and out the hospital when I was 13. And my twin brother and I had to take care of, her, and then she later passed away. And that moment, I was 23 when she passed, and almost I took like a year break from acting, and I was still a kid, man. You know what I mean? And it was so hard, but God allows his tougher soldiers to go through that. And also Frederick Douglass quote, there's um, no success without struggle. And hopefully my story can help out other people who's going through adversity and turmoil. It's not easy, you know what I mean? Life is not easy. And I didn't have this mindset at 25. And, I think God just he gave me this later success for me to be able to share that journey, and also for me to be humble enough to inspire other people. Because man, if you gave me this at 25, I don't know what I would have done with it. You know what I mean? So at the right time, at the right moment, it it will happen. You just gotta stay the road. And it's hard telling a 23-year-old man that, because I get it, man. You got this fire in you. You want to work with projects. You want to do different things in this industry, man. But it's one thing you gotta take in consideration too. It's not many of us. It's not many of us, as far as it's not many people that's working in studio, up in higher ends in studio. There's not really a lot of black people that's in like studio execs, department heads, producers who can actually make something happen. So when you get these roles, you got thousands of black and minorities peoples going for one role, and it's disheartening when you don't get it. And I wish I could just touch another actor right now and be like, bro, just relax. It's gonna happen. If it don't happen, make your own stuff. That's what I did with the book. That's what I'm doing with my scripts. Just gotta find a way. You know what I mean? Keep creating. Keep trying to meet new people. You know what I mean? I like what we're doing, and keep the faith. And it's hard to say that. I know somebody gonna be looking at this like, man, he's just talking smack. I'm not talking smack, man. It's reality. And I know it's hard to hear it when you're on the other side, but you gotta just open your mind and trust that everything's gonna work out. And if nobody's giving you a shot, make your own stuff. That's it.
Yeah. No, agreed. Listen, it is hard to hear when someone's telling you like, oh, keep going. It's gonna happen. All this stuff when you're on the other side. But it's always interesting when you finally get there. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. This is why I wasn't supposed to quit. This is why I was supposed to keep going. Because it definitely there are days where it's gonna feel like, why me? Like, why isn't this happening? Am I supposed to quit? Should I pivot to something else?
I was
It
there. I
definitely,
know. Yeah.
yeah.
I know.
But thank you so much. I feel like I could talk to you for a very long time.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
But no, thank you so much. And I definitely know we'll talk some more because I definitely am gonna continue following your career. I think it's super dope.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
yes, thank you so much for taking the time. I'll talk to you
For sure.
later.